Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan and Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Empowered to Grow. My team and I have taken a much needed break over the summer, but we're back and I'm super excited to be coming back with such an exciting already conversations with Juls Rollnik all the way from Australia. Hi, Juls.
Hi, Hanan. Hi, everyone.
So again, I believe nothing is an accident and everything happens for a reason. Juls and I got connected through the universe. I'm just going to put it there. And we just clicked on the first minutes of our conversation. She's seen right through me, and this is going to be an interesting conversation. Juls is an author and she's a superhost when it comes to Airbnb. So she has authored the book Secrets of a Superhost. And her backstory is quite interesting. So I can't wait to delve deeper. But Juls, I always start with, what does Empower to Grow mean to you when you kind of read that the podcast is called Empower to Grow? How does that phrase resonate with you?
Well, it actually resonates with me. I was thinking about this earlier about empower to grow. What does that mean? And for me, it feels like a gravitational force, like a magnetic force that is pulling me to do something that's greater than myself. So it's something that's really deep in my soul that wants more than what I've got at that time, or it's just compelling me to move forward and to continue to grow and get bigger and better and be more than what I am. If that makes sense. I'm not sure if that really makes sense, but it's just like, for me, it is this magnetic pull to just, that's how I can only describe it, as a magnetic pull to be more than what I am. So it's something that's deep in my soul. And sometimes you're empowered to grow through, you want to grow, but you don't know how. And certainly from my experience, I was sort of forced into growing. I wanted to grow, but I didn't know how to grow. I didn't know what the steps were to grow, but by my circumstances being forced upon me, so to speak. I knew deep down, though, that was the right, it was going to happen. But I just think it's something that's more than
just where we are now, and just kind of,
that's it. Yes,
I think
thank you.
also the part about the intention, like, as you said, you had the intent for growth. Sometimes we get stuck with the question of what next and now what. And as you said, it's just kind of the universe and circumstances kind of steer you towards that path that you can explore, and then that could evolve one way or another. So speaking of the evolution in your path, your story is about being empowered to grow, but more importantly now that also it's become a mission for you to empower others to grow. So tell us a bit about the backstory of it.
Okay, well, I mean, I've always known that there's a path for me. I never quite knew how, and I never had the courage to really go out and do whatever I thought I might want to do. But unfortunately, circumstances for me, my husband, when I was in my mid-40s, got quite ill.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite frightening because he had a 15% chance of survival. He got cancer.
Wow.
And he was a very fit, healthy guy. We had young children, and I sort of had handed all my power over to him because he was a lawyer. I was supporting him in his career. I mean, I had, minor jobs, but nothing really substantial. So I hadn't really done much work-wise for probably 15 years. So I was sort of faced with the possibility of losing my husband, which was a real possibility because it had started in the bowel, the cancer, and it had gone to the liver.
Oh,
And I'll never forget, we were sitting in the oncologist's rooms, and he said, look, you've got about a 25% chance of survival. And my husband was such a fit guy, and he was 44, and it's like, oh my God. So yeah, I was faced with him dying and having to lose everything. I couldn't afford the mortgage. I couldn't afford to keep my kids in the school they were in. And I sort of realized, I went, what am I going to do? How am I going to go out and get a job? And I had no awareness of, I just relied on my husband,
yeah.
as you do. It was like, he'll go and work and I'll raise the kids. Anyway, just so happened at that time, I'd come across this amazing book. As you just said, Hanan, there are no accidents, so to speak.
Yes.
And I'd come across this amazing book called Rich Woman by Kim Kiyosaki.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked this book up and I devoured it, because it was all about becoming financially independent and how to do that as a woman. And what was quite incredible in reading this book was that so many women, and we all do it. I'm not we all do it, but we sort of want to be empowered, but then we can sort of hand our power over to our husband, because it's kind of
Yeah.
like, I go back to that caveman, man's
Yeah.
the hunter and gatherer, and the woman's,
The
the
nurturer
nurturer.
and
And
yep, yep.
yeah, so, but I didn't have a choice. So back it was against the wall. And my husband Adam had said to me at the time, oh, there's somebody at his work who had bought an apartment and was running it as an Airbnb. And funnily enough, he said to me, look, this is something I think you'd be great at. And I said, what? Airbnb? I don't think so. How can we afford to buy a property to do Airbnb?
Yeah,
Because I didn't want to have anybody in my house
of course.
renting a room or so forth. Anyway, we realized we could borrow money on our home. But what I did initially was, I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do an Airbnb, I need to go out and understand about property. So I sort of just went out and started going to all these talks, and I was like, wow, I was learning so much, and I was getting excited, because I thought this world had never been open to me before, and I never in a million years would have thought, oh, property, or whatever it might be, stock market or whatever. But the fascinating thing was, I educated myself, because I thought, well, I need to know what I'm doing before I, you know, get a property. And so then I bought a little 1-bedroom apartment, and then I sort of educated myself on Airbnb, and then I just sort of hit the ground running, and it sort of took off from there. And as it grew, I became more confident,
Yes.
and it was just life changing for me, because I've had a bit of trauma in my life. I'd lost my parents young and a sister, and I kind of have really been on my own on a lot of the journey. And it just blew my mind that not only I had I bought a little apartment, I'd created this Airbnb, but I was so good at it. And it was just because I loved the guests. And as I said, I think I went off track before. My husband, I remember, said to me, Jules, you would be great as an Airbnb host, because everybody loves you. And they're his words, not mine. Everybody loves you. You have a generosity of spirit, and
Yes.
you just you want to make everybody feel good.
Yeah.
So I sort of incorporated those traits. But yeah, it wasn't until I actually started the Airbnb that I kind of went, wow, this is great, and I'm good at this. And that's where things started to manifest. And I realized, by Adam possibly dying, that I realized, oh, I will be okay. I can
Mhm.
look after myself and my children, because my children were the motivator.
Course. I love that because there's so many elements in your story, as you said. First of all, that this capitalizes on your core competences as a human in which you're good at.
Yeah.
And as you said, you wouldn't have thought that this could be a channel for it, but you approached it with an open mind and you went ahead saying, this is not my area of specialization, but I'm going to educate myself through it. And this is basically what I do when I work with women and making sure to enlighten them from that perspective and change their mindset. There is always an opportunity just for you to capitalize on your the most basic core competences that you've got, whether, as you said, that being a generous host, the organizational skills, even the to be able to do the logistical part of who comes in and where, and when you get the cleanup and all of this, and that this all turns into, I can sustain myself and my kids financially. I can do this, and not from just a let's survive, but let's thrive doing this. As you said, I mean, reaching even that status of superhost on Airbnb, I know is not easy.
Look, it's not easy, Hanan. I actually, because you get, well, graded or reviewed every 3 months. So it's 4 times a year you get reviewed. Now, at last count, I think I've been a superhost about 25 times. And I not only was a superhost, and I got that badge at my first attempt within 3 months, I was part of the inaugural Air Plus group.
Oh,
So that's above a superhost. So they actually, Airbnb contacted me and said, look, because of your exceptional service and XYZ, we want you to be part of this inaugural Airbnb Air Plus host. This was a few years back. And I was blown away. I was like, really? Me, little old me, who had no self esteem and, had lots of trauma in her life, was just blown away by that, because it was like, wow. And then not only that, the fact that my guests, it wasn't that they were just staying at my place. They loved the experience and they loved me. It was like it, I've got so many reviews that are like, Jules creates this, Jules the magic. And what was really because I'm somebody who just does things, and I sort of go, okay, I never really sit there and enjoy my success, I
yeah,
suppose. And
celebrate
what was
yourself.
interesting, when I was writing my little book, Secrets of a Superhost, I had to go through all the reviews to pick ones out for the book. And I remember feeling like I was reading the reviews and I was just crying my eyes out, because it was like, wow, these people, it's like, when you go to a funeral and
Yeah,
people read that little special book about, oh, oh, that person's special. Why is she special? Or why is he special? And that sort of was such a moment for me, because I'm reading review after review, and all these people are just, they're so moved because of the experience I gave them. And that was really what I set out for more than anything, was how can I make them have a magical experience? Because what I'll never forget, Oprah, I was watching an interview with Oprah, and she said, excellence is unforgettable. And
yeah,
I remember thinking, that's like if you get a coffee down at your local shop with the barista, he makes you a wonderful coffee. You go
exactly.
to a restaurant and you have a lovely waiter. You are getting in an Uber and the Uber driver is really nice.
Yeah,
That is so memorable.
that is
Whether
true.
you're an Airbnb host or just, Joe Blogs down the street. That
Exactly.
to me is so important, that
The service
excellence is
part.
unforgettable.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
speaking of the experiences, when I was pregnant with our son, I had major craving for ice cream. So I would actually go to Cold Stone and I had a specific recipe of what I wanted in my ice cream. And I would get like 5 or 6 tubs, put them in the freezer, and kind of literally just feed on them throughout the pregnancy. I remember once I went, and one of the guys serving there, he recognized me and he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Fine." He's like, "Same order." And I got very skeptic because my order had like 5 or 6 different, kind of iterations to it. I'm like, yeah, what's my order? And he literally recited my order. And I'm like, I like you. Please go ahead. He's like, how many are you having today? And I'm like, I'm having 5. Just get them ready. But
Oh,
as you
that's
said,
gorgeous.
this guy, I don't forget him. I'm like, and at
Yes,
the time, I
that's it.
even had a business that was a fine foods retail concept. I remember telling my husband, I'm like, I wish I could get him out of the place and get him to work with us, because
Yeah.
he was just so excellent on in the level of
Yes.
service that he's provided. So I love that. So, okay, you spoke about your feelings of maybe not worthy enough, the dependency on your husband and everything. So, if you were to go back and give your 19-year-old advice, what would that be?
I would say, Julie, life is going to throw you a lot of curveballs, and it's going to be hard. And you're going to be alone a lot of the times, and you're going to have a lot of tragedy. but you are going to triumph, and you are going to triumph through sheer adversity, hard work, and just, one foot in front of the other. Slow and steady wins the race. And you will feel at times that there's no one had your back. And at times there won't be. You will be literally on your own, on the ground, crying, feeling so alone. But in that will lie the magic, because you will not only find yourself, but you will find your strength,
Mhm.
and that will pull you up, and you will rise up, and each experience that you have, you're going to conquer and you're going to learn, because that's what life's about. And you will even stand on top of a mountain, Mount Everest, and you will have
Yes.
conquered that, and you will find your courage and strength, and you will become an incredibly empowered woman through your experiences. But don't despair. Just hold on in those tough times, hold on and hold steady, because you will get through, and you will be a force to be reckoned with.
I love that. I love that. And I wish a lot of 19-year-olds listened to that at that point in time. I know that I wish I had listened to that when I was 19 years old.
Oh,
Okay.
so do I.
Yeah. And I think
But you
that's a
can't
beauty
tell.
of
You have to experience, don't you? You can't
that's
tell. You
true.
have to go through
That's
those
true.
experiences.
But from that perspective, actually, there's yes, you can't dictate, because I know we were speaking earlier about the children, and I was saying, my son doesn't listen most of the time. But I know that whatever I'm telling him is kind of being embedded into his subconscious programming. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm putting in a lot of effort to make it as positive and as empowering as possible, versus what I had as my programming. And we were talking about our programming growing up as being mostly disempowering, mostly, doubtful of my own capabilities, of my own core competences. And that's the same for me when I found myself 40 with a doctorate degree and all of this. And I realized that I am so disempowered in my own life up here first, and then allowing everyone else to have that power, as you said, over my own life. And this for me was also a life altering journey over the past 4 to 5 years. Okay, so taking the other end of the spectrum, what would you like your 90-year-old self to thank you for today?
I would like my 90-year-old self to thank me for everything, every experience I've had, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there have been a lot of hard, really hard times. But I would like to thank my 90-year-old self for that, for those experiences, because without them, I would not be the woman I am today.
Mhm.
So really, I thank, for even losing my mother young, losing my father, losing my sister, going through nearly losing my husband, raising my children alone, having all these experiences that, often people would say, how do you do it? How did you do it? But you do, because you do. You've got two choices, and you just do. So I would say to my 90-year-old self, or my 90-year-old self would say to me, thank you for all of it. Every single experience. I've had no regrets.
I love that. And I think a life with no regrets is an amazing life to live. And this is also another, I mean, sometimes you might go back and say, I wish I hadn't, but
I
and
know,
yet
I know.
this also made me who I am today. And I think that's a
That's
beautiful thing
right.
about it.
Yes.
Okay, Jules, you're on a stage and you're talking to tens of thousands of women, and it is about being empowered to grow. What would be that last message you leave them with?
Be bold, be brave, and have courage. Yes, it's hard. It is hard, but don't take the easy way out, because you're doing yourself a disservice.
Mhm.
Take responsibility, take control, just do it. There's a wonderful saying, and I've got it here. I love this saying. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Just
Oh,
take that first
love
step.
that. Yep.
Just that first step.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And then I have it on my lock screen as well, something along those lines. But it is taking the first step, dream big, and then take the first step. I mean,
It is, and it's not easy. It's not
no,
easy, Hanan. It's you know, as I said, you know, everybody, well, I call myself the reluctant everything. It's like the reluctant author, the reluctant Airbnb host, the reluctant, you know, property investor, the reluctant owner builder. But, you know, they're those experiences that really make you. So women, all those beautiful women out there, the young, the old, you know, take responsibility, because you just don't know what magic is out there, and you will find yourself.
true.
And I'm really, really impassioned about helping women um, have, you know, find out who they are. And because I know I've got friends of mine from ages, you know, 70 plus, who have lost husbands, or their husbands have left them, and they've been cheated on, and they're left with nothing,
Mhm.
because they handed their power over, they handed everything over. They don't even know their bank account
Yeah.
details. And that
Yeah.
breaks my heart.
True. True. And I say that there is a point where you rise up and say, I am going to fight my conditioning and and the expectations and the you can't, you won't, you shouldn't instructions that we had as women growing up, or as girls first. And this is, as you said, this is where I take power back over my own life. Doesn't mean that I walk out on people in my life. Doesn't mean that I just become obnoxious and kind of conceited. It just means that there is a lot more to my life that I would love for others to actually enjoy with me. But if I don't have that agency, there's nothing more I could do about it. I love
That's
this.
right. But if there's a tug, if there's something within you that just, you know, it's bigger than you, there's something really deep in your soul, just even that first step, it's just that first step.
True, true.
And it's not easy. As I said, like every step I did, none of it was easy, none of it. But I just had that saying, hold on and hold steady, and one foot in front of the other, slow and steady.
That's it. That's the secret recipe there.
Yes, yes, take it from me.
Thank you so much, Jules. I know we can go on forever, so we're going to take the conversation to the uncharted part. But where can our viewers and listeners find you in virtual space, and where can they get your book?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I've got a little website, and it's www.secretsofasuperhost.com. I also have Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, just under Secrets of a Superhost.
Okay.
So
We're going to be including all the links anyway in the show notes,
thank you,
but
my dear. Yes,
it's my pleasure. Can you show us the book? So we have to
I
celebrate this.
can. There she is, my little Secrets of a Superhost. How to become an Airbnb rock star, just
Love
like
it.
me.
Love it. Congratulations on your book and
Thank you, my
to
dear.
taking control over your life, and for your husband to have survived his cancer and to be with you and sharing his life with you and the kids.
Thank you so
Jules,
much.
thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I think much needed in a time where, again, I think the pandemic has challenged a lot of us with feelings of helplessness and feelings of life being out of our own control. And I think, just as you said, just taking small elements and looking at the first steps of how to regain control over your life, how to literally just kind of carve out your independence, even if up till today you didn't feel independent enough, just to be able to live a thriving life and come from a place of empowerment so you can empower others as well.
Thank you, Hanan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our inaugural, well, it's not really inaugural, but inaugural after the break episode. And this has been a pleasure. Again, as always, love, abundance, and prosperity. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananalbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.